Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and I know people, they like reading for the sake of reading. I don't like that. I like reading because whatever I'm gonna read is gonna get me something. I'm gonna get something out of it. And in this case, this whole video is about 7 different investment books that are gonna get you the knowledge that you need about investing. And the goal is simple, okay? The goal is to go from whatever you are right now, which is usually someone that likes stocks, is interested in stocks, but doesn't know how to differentiate the market price from the actual underlying value of the company. So when you're done reading these 7 books right here, which by the way, I ranked them and in a specific order, meaning from 1 to 7, meaning I want you to read 1 first and then work yourself all the way down to 7 for a reason, okay? Because here's the thing. The best book ever on investing is this one right here, but it's not on the list. You want to know why? Because most people, when you read this book for the first time, if you're brand new to investing, you'll read the first page. Either 3 things are going to happen. You're going to fall asleep, you're going to get a headache, or you're going to read the whole book and then leave not knowing what the heck you read, because it can be like hieroglyphs. It can be like a brand new language if you're not used to it. This book right here is not really beginner friendly, in my opinion, and that's why it's not on the list. So that's why the list of books, I put them in an order where you can start with knowing nothing, and by the time you're done, you know a lot more than 80% of the people out there. Now, there is one thing I do want to say here. I'm not here to clickbait you and tell you, hey, you're going to read these books, you're going to be good to go, start investing tomorrow. The answer is no. Even Charlie Munger, one of the people I admire the most with investing, and by the way, there are 3 people: Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Peter Lynch. Those guys are my heroes with investing, and they have great records, but they're all different individuals, have their own ways to learn, have their own best teachers. They're all individuals, same as you. Don't try to copy anyone, develop your own skill. But my point is, even Charlie Munger says in this video, here's what he says. Hear it for yourself.
I don't think you can get to be a really good investor over a broad range without doing a massive amount of reading. I don't think there's any one book that will do it for you.
So the basic idea is that it won't be 7 books or 1 book. It is going to be the cumulative of you learning and immersing yourself into investing every single day, whether it's through books, business magazines, 10K forums, and doing all the research possible to become a better investor. But it takes a lot of work, a tremendous amount, okay? But when you get there and you're one of the top, well, that's where a lot of the money is gonna come in, okay? So it's definitely worth it in the end. So do me a favor, smash the like button if this sounds awesome, and I'll also give you a bonus book at the end of the video, so stick around for that. And if you guys want to get some free books, use my link down below for Audible. When you sign up, you get 2 free books. If you cancel, by the way, don't tell anyone this, if you cancel, you still get to keep the 2 free books. So there you go. If you don't got the money, get the trial, get the books, then cancel and keep them, and then read them, okay? And then get the money because you're going to be investing and so on, and you'll be able to pay it, and that's it, all right? But let's get started. The very first book I'm going to recommend is going to be Learn to Earn by Peter Lynch. Now, again, Peter Lynch is one of my heroes, and he's not the best investor, but he's still so awesome because if you had invested 10K with him, it would have turned into over $200,000 in less than 13 years or so. So still an amazing investor. That's what I'm telling you, okay? The best people make a ton of money. The good people make a ton of money. The not so good, the average don't make any money. But that's how this game is, and that's how extreme it actually is. But in this book, Learn to Earn is a very basic video on investing and business. It kind of tells you, hey, here are the reasons why business is a good thing, investing is a good thing. Here's are the basics of how to pick a stock, what to look for, how to get a retirement account. Here's why you don't want to put your money into liabilities and so on. It's kind of like you just entered the world of investing and he's guiding you through it in a very small, not complex book whatsoever. By far, I've read this book already 5 times over and over and over again because it really is that awesome. Anyone can understand it, and you don't need to be a genius to actually get it. It's short, precise, and simple, but also very valuable. And that's why I love this book, Learn to Earn by Peter Lynch. Now, the second book is One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch also. Now, this book is going to step you up a little bit more, but the whole thing is it's still very comprehensible, and with the knowledge you acquire from the last book, this one's going to be a lot more easier to actually understand. You won't need that much convincing to why investing is a good idea. And what can you expect to learn here? Well, how do you find good stocks? How do you analyze those stocks? What exactly do you look for? How do you allocate your portfolio? What are some true things about the stock market, some false things about the stock market, and how do you actually invest overall? All right, that's what this book is going to give you, and that's what it promises you. But you won't find any complex formulas, any complex ideas. No, it really is a more simplistic approach about investing. How do I say this word? A more like, it's kind of like, like do by example. He shows you exactly, hey, here's how I picked a company that made me 10 times my money. And it wasn't through this fancy formula. It was just by looking at the profits, how much it actually earns, the balance sheet, going to the company, checking out the product. Is it good? Asking questions. And then boom, I invested money into it and it made me a lot of money. But he also is very honest about, hey, in this game of investing, and by the way, Peter Lynch at one point, he had over 1,300 stocks. So, because he managed a fund, so he had a lot of money at his disposal, okay? But the idea is he says, well, even though I had a fund, he believes that us, the average investors that don't have a fund and millions of dollars, we have an advantage over him because we're able to invest into a lot more things that those funds and brokers are not able to invest into. You'll find a lot more information once you start reading the book about all this stuff, which makes it even more amazing. But again, this book is awesome, and that's why it's second on this list. Very easy, but if you get it, read it 2 to 3 times. I read it 5 times also. Like, I love his books. I read all his books like 5 to 10 times at least because they're that great. Now, the third book is A Random Walk Down Wall Street by Burton. Now, I had a very bad habit. I gotta be honest here. My habit was very simple. If I made up my mind about something, I did not want to hear anything else about anything else. I made my decision. Don't tell me about whatever else you want to say. I don't care. But this attitude is very stupid because you kind of close yourself off to all the other information. And although you might be right, it doesn't mean the other person might also be right also. And there might be something to actually learn from that person. Now, why is this relevant? Because this book is the opposite of the past 2 books you read before. Because this book tells you about, hey, here are all the reasons why you don't want to pick stocks. Here are all the reasons why it's just better to buy an index fund and just to invest over the long term this way. Here are all the information, all the science, all the data. Here's everything that's proven to why this game is so risky and why you would be better off doing this instead of picking stocks. So you might ask me, Tommy, but why would I read a book that tells me not to do the thing I came to this video and want to read books about? Because the more you learn about the other side of things, it gives you a more well-rounded intelligence or understanding. So I highly recommend you read this book because it tells you, hey, here are the big mistakes that the investors make that basically cost them a ton of money. Here's why the professionals basically suck and they don't even beat the market. Because when you pick to be an investor, it's not like if I told you, you want to get very good at basketball, go play for 2 hours every single day for an entire year. In a year, you'll be better than 80% to 90% of the people out there. But compared to LeBron James, you're still going to be trash, right? That's the idea because the top of the top, they're super good. And they've been doing this for a very long time. Same thing with investing. You're going to read these books. You're going to be a lot better than the average person. But there's still a lot you need to do to get up there to where you comprehend everything and you're a lot better and you're one of the elites of the elites. And to get to that point, it takes a lot of work. And that's why most of those people with professionals that have degrees, they're not there, okay? And they suck and they don't make a lot of money. So this book kind of tells you, hey, this is the difference. It's a lot of work. If you don't want to do all that work, you might as well just be for example, investing into index funds or mutual funds and call it a day. That's what this book talks about. So if you have per se just like the intention of picking stocks, but you don't really want to do a lot of work, it's probably going to convince you not to do it and just to go the passive route. And that's fine, but at least you're not going to be risking money trying something you're not really going to do all the way through. Okay, so it's a great book. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, the fourth book here is the little book about common sense investing by John C. Bogle. And again, it's another book about why picking stocks is such a bad idea. And again, a more well-rounded understanding. You know, don't take anything personal. There are things to learn from the people that disagree with you also, right? A lot of things. So you got to stay open-minded because these people, it's not like they're poor. They're very wealthy also, right? And they're telling you, hey, there's another way to get wealthy. So you might as well give them an ear and actually listen to what they're saying. But John C. Bogle is the creator of the index fund. So this is the guy that created the index fund telling you, hey, here's why index funds are so much better than picking stocks. They're not a lot of work. They're more passive. They're inexpensive. And it's just a lot easier. And the odds are going to be in your favor over the long term if you're investing for 10 to 20 to 30 years. That's the idea here. Now, I have a confession. When I read 4 of those books right there, you have the Peter Lynch books, the Burton book, and also the John C. Bogle book here, I changed my whole concept. You know, I wanted to go right ahead into picking stocks. I said, well, let me pause here for a second because even Peter Lynch warns about, hey, don't start investing until you have a house, you have things taken care of, you have a job, because you don't want to be very emotional when you're playing this game. So I decided I'm going to handle my personal business first, and then I'm going to start picking stocks. So after reading these books, I said, hey, I'm going to pay off my debt first. I'm going to save for emergencies second. I'm going to start investing into some index funds to actually try to build up in passive income between $20,000 to $30,000 every single year in passive income. And then I'm going to buy a home and pay it off first until I actually start investing and picking stocks. Today, I paid off the debt. I have the emergency fund. I have $12,000, a little bit more in passive income every single year for my investments into index funds, into that very low risk stuff. And then I also have a paid off home. So shout out to God on that. But the point is, now I feel a lot more comfortable when I'm going to go ahead and pick stocks because I don't have to be impatient. I can be patient, perseverance, and I can do everything I need to do things the right way. But that's what I did. That's not what you have to do. What I did is very stupid mathematically because all the money I put into that stuff could have made me a lot more money if I learned the skills to actually pick stocks. But who's to say with my tolerance and the way I invest, I would have maybe just wasted all the money because it would have been a bad idea for me. So again, personal finance is personal. Investing is personal. So you got to make sure whatever thing you want to do here is based on you and who you are as a person. I know this works best for me, and that's why I do it this way. But those 4 books rounded me up more to be a better investor overall. Now, books 5, 6, and 7 is when we get a little bit more deep into investing. So hold on here for the ride because book number 5 is going to be The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. And by far, behind this book, well, not really. I think this book is second and that book is first because that book is the most famous book when it comes to beginner investors because this is like the dad to that book because it's like a more complex book, okay? But The Intelligent Investor is a book that when you read it, it's going to give you formulas and it's going to tell you right away how to invest into stocks, how to value them, how to understand what the intrinsic value is, which is basically the market says is worth $10, but my formula says that it's worth $15 or $20. So if I buy now, I'm buying at a discount. It teaches you how to do all this stuff. So when you're done reading this book right here, you kind of walk out there's this saying, and it says, when you read this book, you'll know just enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be like very good. So you'll probably finish reading this book with the itch to go ahead and invest like I did, but I actually did it and I made some money. But the point is, you don't know enough, okay? That's what usually happens. So if you have that itch to invest and try out all this stuff, you have three options here. The first option is just invest with a paper portfolio, not a real portfolio. Track your investments with Excel or on paper. You put the buy price, your whole analysis behind it, but that way, if you're mistaken, you don't lose any money. Your gains are not real, but your losses are also not real, which is the benefit. Second, take a very small amount of money if you want to do this, and just invest with that small amount of money. Or third, just wait until you acquire more knowledge. But one thing that I did notice is that whenever you acquire this knowledge, the faster you put it into practice, whether it's with a fake portfolio or a small amount of money, the more odds you actually have of this information sticking to you and actually being a part of you. And then you actually learn how to do it in the real space. So I do recommend you practice things as you're reading these books right here because it's very important. Practice is awesome. Knowledge is useless without application. That's just my opinion. Book number 6 is Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits by Philip Fisher. And Philip Fisher and Benjamin Graham, they're basically, well, also David Dodd. These three people are basically like the legendary teachers that kind of made investing an actual career, an actual science, because back then investing was just really gambling. There was no way to actually analyze anything. So this book is a lot more intangible in the sense that something that's tangible is physical, intangible is not really physical. You gotta have to kind of use your imagination in a sense. But the book kind of gives you 15 concepts about investing and the things you kind of want to look out for. And these things include, for example, what's the competitive advantage? How's the management? How are the employees? How do they treat the employees? All these factors that you are not hard numbers Benjamin Graham recommends. Well, he recommends you actually take a look at this stuff to actually go a lot deeper. Again, remember, these books, they're pretty old. They're not brand new. Stocks, they're basically the same exact thing for a very long time, for ever. It's just that there are different companies out there now, okay? That's all the difference is, but the analysis is basically the same. That's why Warren Buffett can still perform as good as he did back then. It's just that it's different companies overall. But my point in saying that is that Benjamin Graham, David Dodd, Philip Fisher, Peter Lynch, John C. Bogle, Burton, all these guys right here, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, all these guys, there's also somebody else, Thomas Rowe Price. That guy is amazing when it comes to growth investing. But overall, all these guys, they have their different ways to actually do the exact same thing. And don't copy anyone per se, okay? Learn from each of them and then just kind of mix it up and make your own style of investing. So don't think that because this guy is different from Benjamin Graham, it means he's stupid. No, it just means there's a different way. And Benjamin Graham, by the way, a lot of these guys, they change their formulas over the long term. They change their investing perspectives over the long term because investing is progressive, it's evolutionary in a sense, right? Nothing you actually do today, you'll probably not be doing the same thing forever. Warren Buffett used to buy trash companies for a cheap price. Now he buys good companies for a fair price, right? That's what he does today. That's the idea. People change, people evolve. So will strategies. So be open to listening to other people. Don't just stick to one person and think they're the best teacher ever. The truth is they're not. That's just my opinion. Number 7 here. And the last book is Value Investing from Graham to Buffett by Bruce and 3 other people. Because this book right here is basically by professors. And this book is deep. But it's kind of like The Intelligent Investor in a more modern way and in a better way, in my opinion, to actually go ahead and look at the stock market. But again, that book, Intelligent Investor, is just amazing. So this book is good, but it's still not as good as that book per se. But it's a lot better modern way to look at today's stocks versus trying to find those stocks back then that Benjamin Graham used to look at, because you can't find them today in that sense, okay? Because the game has changed and the companies have changed and the prices have changed. If what I'm saying to you right now doesn't make sense, it will make sense by the time you're done reading these books and you'll understand what I'm saying. But this book is a great read. It tells you exactly how to find companies, how to pick companies, how to do your portfolio allocation. It shows you 2 real examples when it comes to how to analyze a company, how to find out what the value is, what the share per price actually is, how to figure out the intrinsic value, how to figure out the EP, what is it called, the earning power value. Like all these things, it teaches you all these amazing things that you would have to pay like thousands of dollars to go to school and actually learn it. But it is from a professor. So it's a lot more logical, step by step, and all this stuff, right? But it's not to say that everything here is perfect. It's not. So again, try to round off everything and kind of just get a better understanding overall by reading all of these books. Now, the last book that I'm going to recommend for you guys, this is the bonus here for making it all the way to the end, is called The Psychology of Money. And that book is amazing. I've read it so far 3 times, and it's awesome. And it kind of tells you the basics of investing, but more like the reason why you think a certain way about money. It sounds kind of fuzzy and stupid in a way. I get it, and corny, but it is solid. It's very solid, and it's going to help you out. So overall, guys, those right there are like the top 7 plus 1 bonus, and then plus this one once you're done with those right there. But again, investing is going to be something you're going to have to immerse yourself into by reading business magazine articles, by reading 10K forms, which is basically annual reports, by reading everything about investing you possibly can, learning about companies. It's kind of like whenever you're going to invest into a company, it's kind of like picture that they're going to hire you, or you're going to be, for example, like the CEO of the company, and you need to learn everything about this company going back all the way to 5 to 10 years in the past. So your goal is to read everything. And if this doesn't sound easy, it's because it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It can take you a few hours to build up a story just for one company, and most likely a lot of the companies you look at, they're not going to be good companies, right? So it's like a lot to actually do. But in return, the gains are amazing once you do find a 10-bagger, a 5-bagger, because the stock market is the only place where it's you betting your money, but you've kind of made or put the odds in your favor. That's all you're really doing. It's the only place where you can grab $100 and turn it into $1,000, right? Over a few years or so. But be patient. It's a part of the game, and I recommend just get into the habit of reading like at least 5 to 10 pages every single day. And when you're reading these books, have a notebook next to you to write down all the things that you don't understand or the things you do understand, and try to figure it out. And whatever you don't understand, have like a little, what is it called, phone there to actually look up the terms, like things in the balance sheet. What is that? Look it up, find out. Don't just read this book to read it. Read it to comprehend it, to live it. And some of these books, it might take you 3 to 5 reads to actually get, and then move on to the next book. But again, it's a patient game. So step by step, that's the way you want to do it. Thanks for watching. Long-term team officially out. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. Follow me on Instagram at TommyBryson, and I'm out.